I think it's time the dinosaurs made room for evolution. That's what Brianna Ashford said to my face, in front of the entire department. 28 years of service, and that's how it ended. My name's Nathan Hawthorne. I'm 52, former Navy communications officer, spent 8 years in the service before I moved to defense contracting. Been building systems that keep this country safe since before this woman learned how to use email. The conference room went dead quiet. I'm talking nobody breathing quiet. Just the hum of those overhead lights and maybe someone's laptop fan running. Brianna stood there with that smile she probably practiced during her morning Peloton routine, the one where she posts motivational quotes about disruption and innovation. I sat there, didn't move, spine straight, old Navy habit. The rest of my team tried to pretend they weren't watching someone get executed in real time. Nobody coughed, nobody shifted in their chairs. Michelle from compliance stared at her coffee like it held the secrets of the universe. Jerome, my dev lead, just looked straight ahead. I could see his jaw working. He's ex-Navy too. Served on a different ship, but same mindset. He was calculating whether standing up for me was worth getting reassigned to some garbage project nobody wanted. I didn't argue, didn't stand up and make a scene. Just looked at her, not angry, not hurt, more like I was watching a kid do something really stupid and waiting to see how bad it would get. This is a new era, Brianna kept going. She was pacing now, hands moving like she was on stage at some tech conference. We need agile thinkers, not relics of Cold War coding structures. Effective immediately, Nathan Hawthorne is no longer with the company. Nobody clapped, nobody said good luck or thanks for your service or any of that. People just sat there like statues. You'll be escorted out by HR after this meeting, she said. Your access will be revoked by end of day. I pulled out my phone, checked my calendar. There was a notification sitting there. Had been there for 3 weeks. JSOC strategic briefing, 11:30 hours. Location, secure conference room 4C, TSS-SCI clearance required. Attendees, General Coldwell, CMDR Vance, N. Hawthorne, JSOC, Joint Special Operations Command, the people who don't show up unless it's serious. They were coming here in about 45 minutes, and they weren't coming to see Brianna. Something settled in my chest. Not panic, not even anger really, just cold calm. The kind you learn when you've been in situations where people's lives depend on you not losing your cool. I stood up slow, picked up my notebook, every page in order, badge still clipped to my jacket. Can I collect my things? I asked. Kept my voice level. Brianna blinked, like she expected more of a fight. Yes. Someone from HR will... I'm good. I can handle it. I walked to the door, boots on tile, steady pace. When I got there, I stopped, turned my head just enough to look at her. You should check who has clearance for what before you do something like this. Then I left. Soon as that door closed behind me, I heard the room start breathing again. Nervous, confused, but I was already gone. I took the elevator down to the lobby. Corporate plants everywhere. Fake peace lilies that never needed water. Motivational posters about synergy. The whole place smelled like air freshener trying to cover up the fact that something was rotting underneath. My stuff fit in one small box. Photo of my dog. Old coffee mug from my Navy days chipped on one side. A folder with some clearance paperwork. And a titanium USB drive on a chain around my neck. The kind that needs my fingerprint and a retinal scan to unlock. The kind that triggers a federal response if someone tries to force it open. I didn't cry, didn't punch a wall, didn't give the security cameras anything, just walked steady, like I was heading into a mission briefing, which I guess I was. At 11:26 hours, the front doors opened. 2 officers walked in, 1 Navy, 1 Army, dress uniforms, ribbons on their chests, the kind of bearing that makes civilians nervous without knowing why. The receptionist froze. Some kid with a pink scrunchie and a button that said, "Ask me about our culture code." She stopped scrolling through Instagram or whatever. Brianna was already in the lobby. Of course she was. Standing there with her arms out like she was greeting visiting royalty. Her voice echoed off the glass walls. "Gentlemen, welcome to Axiom Systems. I'm Brianna Ashford, Director of Strategy and Integration. We're so honored. Where is Nathan Hawthorne?" The Army officer cut her off. Didn't smile. Didn't blink. Brianna's smile cracked. Just a little. Ah, Nathan. Unfortunately, he's no longer with the company as of today. But I've been fully briefed on all projects. The Navy officer turned to the receptionist. Is Nathan Hawthorne on site? I stepped forward before the girl could answer. Box under my arm. They're here for me. Brianna spun around. Her face went through about 5 different expressions in 2 seconds. Nathan, let's not... This isn't a scene, I said. This is protocol. They're here for the Sentinel protocol briefing. The $850 million defense grid contract. The one I built. The one you just fired me from. The Navy officer moved next to me. Mr. Hawthorne, if you're ready. I am. We walked toward the secure corridor. There's a section of Axiom that requires federal clearance to enter. Brianna tried to follow. The panel blinked red when she swiped her badge. Access denied. I swiped mine. Green light. Door opened. Brianna stood on the other side of the glass. Wait, he's not an employee. He can't... I turned back, looked at her through the reinforced glass. I'm the sole point of contact for Sentinel Protocol. Only person with TS-SCI clearance on this project. You just terminated that relationship. So if you want to reschedule this briefing, you'll need to find someone else with my credentials. I looked at the officers. I'm open to discussing alternative employment arrangements. The Army officer's eyebrow went up, just barely. But I saw it. Brianna's face went pale, same color as the wall behind her. The door hissed shut. We walked to a secure elevator, needed my thumbprint and retinal scan. As we went down to the sublevels, down where the real work happens, I let myself smile. Just a little. Wasn't celebrating. The sting from that meeting was still there. But heading down in that elevator, something settled in my chest. She'd just made a huge mistake, and I was about to watch her figure that out. Down in sublevel 3, the air was different. Cooler. Quieter. No corporate motivational posters down here. Just reinforced doors and biometric scanners every 20 feet. General Patricia Coldwell was waiting in the briefing room. 3 stars, about 58. The kind of officer who'd been doing this since before half the people upstairs were born. She didn't smile when I walked in, just nodded. Mr. Hawthorne, glad you could make it. Ma'am, wouldn't miss it. We sat down. Steel table, 2 chairs, no windows. CMDR Vance pulled out a folder. Classified markings all over it. We need to discuss continuity protocols, Coldwell said, Sentinel's operational status, and what happens if the primary contractor relationship becomes unstable. I didn't say anything, just waited. You built this system, she continued. You wrote the core architecture, the encryption layers, the fail-safes. We've had analysts try to reverse engineer parts of it. They can't. That's impressive. It's also a problem. Single point of failure, I said. Exactly. She leaned forward. So let's talk about what happens next. We spent 90 minutes going through scenarios, what I'd built, why it mattered, how many people would die if the wrong country got their hands on it. She didn't sugarcoat anything. I respected that. When we finished, she closed the folder, looked at me straight on. There's language in Appendix G of the contract, continuity provisions. If the project's operational security is at risk, we can reassign the asset, not the company. The asset. You're saying I'm the asset. I'm saying if you walked, there'd be people in D.C. ready to hold the door open. I nodded. Didn't answer yet. Because you don't grab the first offer. You wait. You watch what happens when the other side panics. I'll think about it, I said. She stood up, shook my hand. Firm grip. Don't think too long. Upstairs, things were falling apart. Brianna was standing in conference room B, the one with that stupid LED light ring she'd installed. Said it boosted creativity or some nonsense. The screen in front of her was black. Just 3 words blinking. Access denied. User not authorized. She was hammering on the keyboard. Like that would help. Why isn't this loading? Her voice was getting higher, tighter. Sarah Bennett, the senior systems analyst, was on her headset. She looked up, face pale. Ma'am, the DoD interface won't initialize. Their system doesn't recognize your credentials. That's impossible. I'm the director. Jerome spoke up from the back of the room, arms crossed. Doesn't matter. Access is tied to security clearance, not job titles. Nathan was the root authorization. You fired him without doing a transfer protocol. Brianna spun on him. Then call him. Get him back up here. We'll fix this. She grabbed her phone, started calling. I saw it buzz down in the secure room, looked at the screen. Brianna Ashford. I let it ring, then silenced it. CMDR Vance glanced over. Need to take that? No, sir, just noise. Upstairs, Brianna was staring at her phone. He's not picking up. He won't, Jerome said, voice flat. Would you? That's when Michelle from compliance spoke up. She'd been quiet for 3 years under 4 different managers, but she'd had enough. Did you seriously fire the only person with federal clearance right before a Pentagon briefing? Brianna's face went red. He was resistant to change. We're integrating AI systems. We don't need outdated protocols. He built those protocols, Jerome said, from scratch. In 2016, after that SolarWinds breach, he built Sentinel when you were still in business school posting selfies. Someone else muttered, didn't he write the entire system architecture? Like, personally? Heads started nodding. People were pulling up LinkedIn on their phones, looking at my profile, scrolling through my background. Navy service, 28 years in defense. Clearances most of them didn't even know existed. One intern whispered to another, I heard he knows people at Homeland Security, like personal friends. Brianna slammed her hand on the table. We're moving forward. Jerome, spin up the backup environment. We'll route around him. Jerome didn't move. Can't. The environment's on an encrypted subnet. Access permissions haven't been updated in 6 months. The master passphrase is still set by Nathan. Then break it. Michelle looked up from her laptop. You want to brute force a federal defense contract? They'll have FBI agents here by tomorrow morning. They'll tape off the building. You'll be explaining data tampering to people who don't care about your MBA. The room went quiet. Nobody was looking at Brianna anymore. They were looking at the floor, at their hands, anywhere else. Down in Sublevel 3, I was having a different conversation. Calm, professional. We weren't talking about revenge. We were talking about mission continuity, about keeping the country safe, about what happens when incompetent people get put in charge of things that matter. My phone buzzed again. Text from Alicia Porter. She's 30. One of my former protégés. Works at a cyber defense firm now. Good company. Does quiet work for people who don't advertise. Heard what happened. You okay? I typed back. Better than okay. You still want to build something clean? 3 dots appeared. Then, hell yes. When? Soon, I wrote. Real soon. By 1600 hours, Brianna was pacing through the executive wing. She'd called legal twice, yelled at HR, tried to bribe Jerome with stock options that hadn't even vested yet. Nothing was working. Every path forward hit a wall I'd built years ago, back when I was quietly making sure nobody could do exactly what she was trying to do now. See, Sentinel wasn't just protected by passwords and clearance levels. I'd layered it, like an onion wrapped in razor wire. Embedded firewalls that activated if the wrong person tried to access them. Pre-compiled scripts that only ran with my authorization. Dependency chains that led nowhere unless you knew the exact sequence. And that titanium USB drive? It was locked in a biometric safe 3 stories underground. Try to force it open, it wipes itself and sends an alert to about 15 different federal agencies. Brianna called in a favor. Some friend from college who worked defense contracts. Guy owed her something about a Vegas incident back in 2018. She asked him to fast-track a new clearance for her. The response came back in 2 hours. Official DoD letterhead, sterile language. Basically said, Subject Ashford, Brianna L., is not recognized under current program authorizations. All credential elevation requests for Sentinel Protocol must be routed through existing primary contractor, Hawthorne, Nathan J. She threw her phone at the wall, cracked the screen. I got home around 1800 hours, fed my dog, made coffee, opened my laptop. My inbox was flooding. Would love to discuss strategic opportunities. Coffee sometime this week? Heard you're exploring new options. Nobody mentioned Brianna. Nobody mentioned Axiom, but everybody knew. I pulled out my old notebook, the one with coffee stains and torn pages from years of late nights. Found the section I'd labeled Exit Plan back in 2019. When I first started seeing how things were going with the new management, updated 3 pages, made a list of names, people I trusted, engineers who cared about the work, not the stock price. Alicia's name was at the top. Below her, Jerome, Michelle, 12 others, people who'd been there, who knew what real work looked like. I picked up my phone, sent a message to Alicia. You still looking to build something clean, something quiet? Her response came back in 90 seconds. Hell yes. When do we start? I smiled. Not a big smile. Just enough. Typed back, let me make a few calls. Then I sat back, looked out the window. Sun was going down, sky was orange and purple. I wasn't celebrating yet, but I could feel it starting. That shift. When you realize you're not the one scrambling anymore. They are. By the end of that first week, Axiom's walls were sweating. Deadlines started piling up. The AI module Brianna had been bragging about for 3 months failed its integration test. Not just failed. Crashed the entire test server. Spit out nothing but error codes and ASCII skull symbols. Nobody could explain it. But word got around that the code had dependencies on old endpoints. Ones I'd migrated to new protocols last year. Documentation for those migrations? Stored in the secure vault, the one that needed my biometric access to open. Brianna blamed legacy systems. The engineers blamed Brianna. Then the DoD sent a letter, not an email, a physical letter, certified mail. Arrived Friday morning at 0842 hours. Formal notice of project lead non-compliance. By 0906, the CFO had it on his desk. By 0915, he was in Brianna's office. That glass box with the fake bonsai tree and motivational quotes still on the whiteboard. You need to tell me right now, he said. Voice flat. Dead serious. The Department of Defense thinks Nathan Hawthorne is still running Sentinel Protocol. Brianna leaned back in her chair. Like sitting up straighter would make her look more competent. That's a clerical error. We submitted new role assignments on Tuesday. They rejected them, twice. By lunch, the board was in emergency session. Conference Room D, the one they used when things were actually on fire. Directors who'd been silent for months were suddenly very interested in process and accountability. Legal blamed operations. Operations blamed Brianna. Brianna blamed old culture and resistance to change. Nobody blamed me. Because I wasn't there. I was across town at a coffee shop. Laptop open. Updating my LinkedIn. One line. Simple. Clean. Nathan J. Hawthorne Advisor, Federal Systems Strategy Group. No announcement. No explanation. Just a quiet update. Posted it at 14:47 hours on that Friday. Within 20 minutes, my phone started buzzing. Not Axiom calling. Other people, contractors, defense firms, people who understood what that title meant. Back at Axiom, Alicia saw it first. She'd been pulled into a board meeting that morning. They wanted to know what I actually did, what I'd built, why systems were acting like they were grieving. She'd told them the truth. Nathan didn't just run the contract, he was the contract. He built Sentinel's architecture on protocols nobody else understands. He didn't write instruction manuals because he was the instruction manual. One board member asked, why didn't he document it better? He did, Alicia said, in the private documentation vault. You need his fingerprint and retinal scan to access it, or an override key from the Pentagon. That landed like a brick. After the meeting, she texted me, check LinkedIn. You moved. I sent back one word. Yeah. Jerome saw it next. Texted Alicia. He's out. For real. Then Michelle. Then half the Sentinel team. Within 2 hours, 40 people knew. By end of day, everyone knew. That weekend, I didn't do much. Took my dog for long walks. Made some calls, quiet ones. Started putting pieces in place. Monday morning, Brianna's week got worse. At 0842, Axiom's general counsel opened another certified letter, hand-delivered, DoD seal, embedded security chip on the envelope. Inside, 1 page, official language. Bottom line, Sentinel protocol operational continuity is at risk due to unauthorized personnel changes. Primary contractor status under review. Response required within 72 hours. The CFO read it twice, then walked straight to Brianna's office. They're threatening to pull the entire contract. Brianna's face went white. $850 million, plus they'll blacklist us from future federal work. We'll lose 60% of our revenue base. By 1,000 hours, the boardroom smelled like panic and expensive cologne trying to cover it up. 8 directors, 4 lawyers, 2 HR reps, all staring at each other. The chairman, Richard Ashford, Brianna's father, spoke first. Options. I need options. We could try to get Nathan back, someone suggested. Has anyone actually talked to him? Silence. I'll reach out, the CFO said, pulled out his phone, called my number. I was in my home office, saw the name on screen, Axiom CFO, let it ring 4 times, then answered. Hawthorne, Nathan, it's Bill Henderson from Axiom. Do you have a minute? I've got about 30 seconds. Right. Look, we need to discuss what happened last week. We think there may have been some miscommunication. We'd like to bring you back, consulting capacity, full access restored. We can discuss compensation. Not interested. Nathan, please, let's at least have a conversation. Bill, I'm in the middle of something. I've accepted another position, but I appreciate you reaching out. Another position? With who? Can't discuss it. Classified. You understand. I hung up. 30 seconds later, my phone buzzed. Text from a 202 area code. Washington, D.C. Mr. Hawthorne, General Coldwell's office. She'd like to schedule a meeting. Thursday, 1400 hours, Pentagon. Confirming your availability. I typed back. Confirmed. That Thursday, I wore navy blue, not black. Black says confrontation. Navy says command. Drove to D.C., parked in the Pentagon visitor lot, walked through security. They were expecting me. Didn't even check my ID closely, just waved me through. The hallways were exactly like I remembered. Marble floors, portraits of people who'd actually done things that mattered. No motivational posters, no collaboration zones, just serious people doing serious work. General Coldwell's office was in the ER-ing, corner suite, windows overlooking the Potomac. She was waiting with 2 other officers. Both wore stars. Both looked like they'd been doing this since before I was born. Mr. Hawthorne, thank you for coming. Ma'am. We sat down. No small talk. Straight to business. We've reviewed the situation at Axiom, she said. It's untenable. Sentinel protocol is critical infrastructure. We can't have it dependent on a contractor that doesn't understand what they have. No, ma'am. We want you to finish what you started. Here, under direct DoD oversight. No corporate interference. No budget committees. No HR departments. Just the mission. One of the other officers leaned forward. We're offering you Deputy Director of Critical Defense Infrastructure. Civilian 06 equivalent. $600 million budget. 15-person team. Your pick. Sentinel transitions to DoD ownership. You run it. I didn't answer right away. Let it sit there. What happens to Axiom? I asked. If they comply with transition protocols, they can provide Tier 3 support. If they resist, we terminate the contract and blacklist them. And Brianna Ashford? Coldwell's expression didn't change. She won't be involved. At any level. I nodded slowly. I have conditions. We're listening. I pick my own team, no political appointments, no diversity quotas, just people who can do the job. Agreed. I need full operational authority. No oversight committees slowing decisions down. You'll report directly to me. Monthly reviews. Otherwise, it's your show. And I want to bring in outside contractors, people I trust. Some of them are currently at Axiom. Recruit whoever you need. I stood up, extended my hand. Then we have a deal, ma'am. She shook it. Firm grip. Welcome aboard, Mr. Hawthorne. You start Monday. I walked out of that building feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Not satisfaction, not revenge, just certainty. I was exactly where I was supposed to be. My phone buzzed on the drive home. Text from Jerome. Heard through the grapevine you took a Pentagon job. That true? Yeah. I typed back at a red light, bringing the band back together. You in? Hell yes. When? Next week. I'll send details. Then Alicia. Then Michelle. Then 12 others from my old team. By the time I got home, I had 15 people ready to walk away from Axiom. Half the Sentinel team. The good half. I opened a beer. Just one. Sat on my back porch. Watched the sun go down. My phone buzzed one more time. Email from Axiom's chairman. Subject line, urgent. Please respond. I opened it. Nathan, in light of recent developments, the board formally requests your return in a consulting capacity with full authority and competitive compensation. We would be grateful for a conversation at your earliest convenience. Respectfully, Richard Ashford. I read it twice, then typed a response. Mr. Ashford, I appreciate the gesture. At this time, I must respectfully decline. I've accepted another position. Wishing you clarity in the days ahead. Nathan Hawthorne. Sent it at 18:23 hours. 17 minutes later, the Axiom boardroom exploded. Brianna was on a video call, muted, watching her father and the other directors panic in real time. Someone was yelling about stock prices, someone else about federal investigations. The general counsel was explaining breach of contract penalties. Brianna unmuted. "We can fix this. We just need time." "You're done," her father said. "Not angry, just tired. Effective immediately. Resign or we'll terminate. Your choice." She tried to argue, but the call ended. By Friday afternoon, the press release went out. Axiom Systems announces strategic leadership transition. Director of Strategy Brianna Ashford will be stepping down for personal reasons. The board has appointed interim leadership to guide the company through its next phase. No mention of federal threats, no mention of how close they'd come to total collapse. Just corporate speak covering up a disaster. I didn't gloat, didn't celebrate, just got ready for Monday. Because that's what you do. You execute the mission. Monday morning, 05:30 hours, I was at the Pentagon gym. Old habit, can't break it even if I wanted to. Treadmill for 30 minutes, weights after. By 06:30, I was showered and in my office. My office, still getting used to saying that. Earring, corner suite, windows facing the river, desk made of actual wood, not that particle board garbage. On the wall, a photo of my old Navy unit, next to it my Purple Heart in a frame, not showing off, just reminding myself why this matters. My phone rang at 0645, unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to pick up. Hawthorne. Dad, Ryan. My son, he's 26. Marine captain. Deployed somewhere he can't tell me about. I could hear helicopter rotors in the background. "Hey son, you okay?" "Yeah, just heard what happened. Wanted to check in." "I'm good. Better than good, actually. Heard you're at the Pentagon now, running your own division. Word travels fast." He laughed. "You know how it is. Marines talk, Navy talks, everybody talks. Dad, I'm proud of you. What they did to you at that company was garbage, but you landed on your feet, like always." Something caught in my throat. Didn't expect that. "Thanks, son. That means a lot. You taught me something, back when I was a kid. Remember what you said when I got cut from the baseball team?" "No. What'd I say?" "You said, sometimes getting cut is the best thing that happens to you. Makes room for something better." You were right. We talked for another 5 minutes about nothing important, just family stuff. How's the dog? How's the weather? The kind of conversation you have when you're both trying not to think about the fact that he's in a war zone and I can't do anything about it. "Stay safe out there," I said. "Always do. Love you, Dad." "Love you too." He hung up. I sat there for a minute, staring at my phone, then got back to work. At 0800, my team started arriving. Jerome first. Showed up 15 minutes early. Typical. He walked in, looked around, nodded. "Nice place. Better than Axiom. Anywhere's better than Axiom." He dropped his bag. "So, where do we start?" "Start by building something they can't break." Alicia arrived at 0815. Michelle right behind her. Then the rest. 15 people total. Every one of them someone I'd worked with for years. People who understood what we were actually doing here. By 0900, we had our first team meeting. Not in some glass conference room with motivational posters. Just a secure briefing room. Concrete walls, no windows. The kind of place where you can say things that matter. "Here's the situation," I said. "Sentinel protocol is now under DoD control. We're rebuilding the infrastructure from the ground up. New servers, new encryption, new everything, only people with access are in this room, nobody else. Not contractors, not oversight committees, just us." Jerome raised his hand. "What's the timeline?" 6 months to full operational capability. Budget is $600 million. We're not cutting corners. We're doing this right." "What about Axiom?" Alicia asked. "They're out, terminated for cause. DoD is pursuing a $200 million breach of contract settlement. They'll probably get it." Michelle smiled. Small smile. "Good." We spent the next 4 hours going through technical specifications. What worked in the old system? What needed to change? What threats we were facing that didn't exist when I first built Sentinel back in 2016. China's gotten better. Russia's gotten smarter. We needed to stay ahead. That was the mission. Keep the country safe. Everything else was noise. At 1300 hours, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize at first. Then I remembered. Richard Ashford. Brianna's father, the chairman who let his daughter destroy a company. Nathan, I know you're busy, but I'd like to buy you lunch. Discuss what happened. Please. I stared at it for a minute, almost deleted it, but something made me respond. I'm at the Pentagon. Can't leave the building. Sorry. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. I understand. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. We should have listened to you. We didn't. That's on us. I typed back. Appreciate that. Good luck with everything. Didn't hear from him again. That afternoon, news broke. Stock market, Axiom Systems down 48% in one day. Bloomberg ran a story. Defense contractor loses major Pentagon contract amid leadership shakeup. The article didn't name me, didn't name Brianna specifically, just said there'd been personnel transitions and compliance issues. Corporate speak for we screwed up and it cost us everything. By end of business that day, 3 more engineers from Axiom reached out, asked if I had room for them. I did, told them to submit their clearance paperwork. We'd bring them on next month. Week 2, things got smoother. Systems came online, code deployed, tests ran clean. By Friday, we'd accomplished more than Axiom had in 6 months. Jerome and I stayed late that Friday, around 1900 hours. Office was empty except for us. We were going through penetration test results, looking for vulnerabilities. Found 2 minor ones, fixed them both before midnight. This feels right, Jerome said, like we're actually doing something that matters. Yeah. You think Brianna knows what we're building here? Don't care, he laughed. Fair enough. We locked up around 2100 hours, walked out together. Pentagon parking lot was empty, just our 2 cars and a handful of others. Security lighting making everything look orange. See you Monday, he said. Monday, I drove home, fed my dog, made some coffee even though it was late, sat on my back porch, my phone buzzed, email notification. Subject line, Axiom Systems Company Update. Opened it. Company-wide memo, new interim. CEO announced, Richard Ashford stepping down from board, focusing on other opportunities. Translation, forced out by investors. Company rebranding, new name, trying to distance themselves from the disaster. Settlement with DoD finalized, $200 million. Stock dropped another 15% on the news. I closed the email. Didn't feel triumphant. Didn't feel anything, really. Just tired. It had been a long 2 weeks, but we'd done it. Built something better, something clean. No corporate politics, no incompetent managers, just good people doing important work. That's all I'd ever wanted. 6 months later, Sentinel Protocol went fully operational. New architecture, unhackable. At least as unhackable as anything gets. Protecting power grids, satellite networks, emergency communications, the stuff that keeps society running when things go bad. We got a commendation from the Secretary of Defense, ceremony at the Pentagon, generals shaking hands, photographers, the whole thing. I stood there in my suit, team next to me, Jerome, Alicia, Michelle, all 15 of them. People who'd followed me because they believed in the work, not the paycheck, not the title, the work. Afterward, we went to a bar near Arlington. Nothing fancy, just a place with good beer and no TVs playing news channels. To Nathan, Jerome raised his glass. For not backing down. To the team, I said, for following me out the door. We drank, talked, laughed about how bad those last days at Axiom were, how panicked Brianna looked when the officers showed up, how the CFO's voice cracked when he called begging me to come back. Around 2200 hours, my phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Mr. Hawthorne, this is Brianna Ashford. I know you probably don't want to hear from me. I just wanted to say I'm sorry, for what it's worth. You were right. I was in over my head. I hope you're doing well. I stared at it for a long time, thought about responding, thought about saying something cutting, something that would make her feel as small as she'd made me feel that day in the conference room. But I didn't, just deleted it. Because here's the thing I learned. Revenge isn't about making them hurt. It's about building something so good they can't ignore what they lost. I didn't need her apology, didn't need her acknowledgement. I had something better. I had the mission, the team, the work that actually mattered. That was enough. I put my phone away, picked up my beer, looked around at my team. People who'd bet on me when it would have been easier to stay quiet. You know what? I said. We should do this again. Next Friday. Make it a tradition. I'm in, Alicia said. Me too, from Michelle. Jerome just nodded, raised his glass. To Fridays, we all said. And that was it. No dramatic ending, no final confrontation, just good people, good work, good beer. Sometimes that's all you need. I'm 52 years old. Spent 8 years in the Navy, 28 years total in defense. I've seen wars, I've seen friends die. I've seen systems fail when they shouldn't have. But I've also seen what happens when you build something right, when you don't cut corners, when you staff it with people who actually give a damn. That's what I built. Not for revenge, not for validation, for the mission. Everything else was just noise. And right now, sitting here with my team, beer in hand, watching the sun set on another Friday, I can tell you one thing for certain. I wouldn't change a damn thing. This is what winning looks like. Not loud, not flashy, just solid, dependable, real. The kind of thing that lasts. The kind of thing they can't fire you from. Because you built it, and it's yours. That's the lesson. Not that the bad guys lose, they usually do eventually, but that the good guys win when they stop playing someone else's game and start building their own. Took me 52 years to learn it, but I learned it, and I'm not going back.